Cursing Mushroom here, and welcome back to another Weapon Wednesday. Sorry I got delayed a little bit, guys, but I thought that Sentinel build was just fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you can always click the link above and check it out. It's really interesting. Now, to get to the Weapon Wednesday, today we're going to be talking about the Agamid by Dead Orbit. Now, it is a hand cannon, of course. It's got a RPM of 110 and a magazine size of 8. The impact is what you would expect. The range is okay. It's not the best. There are other 110s with more range. The stability and handling are okay, and the reload speed honestly is horrible. I hate it. I hate the reload speed on this weapon. Now, without further ado, let's get into the perks. Now, this weapon has Rampage. Kills with this weapon temporarily grant increased damage. Stacks 3 times. You've got Alloy Magazine. Faster reloads when the magazine is empty. You have armor-piercing rounds. Slightly increases range, and rounds cause extra damage to combatants' shields and over-penetrates targets. Now, you have Steady Hand for the first sight, which increases stability and handling speed, which I have equipped now just for the first one. And the Crossfire, my favorite, for increased range at a loss of stability and handling. Why do I use that one? It's my choice. You know, I like that range. Now, Hit Mark, it just increases range, but it is less of an increase in range than Crossfire, but you do get more stability and handling. We're going to get to the stability test, check it out, and then I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about it in PvP and PvE. So let's get to it. Okay, for the stability test, I want to show you guys real time what I have going on here. So of course I have Rampage, I'm using Alloy Magazine, and then I am starting with Steady Hand. What we're going to do is, like normal, we're going to not resist, and then we're going to resist and see if we can see a difference in the recoil pattern. So first, let's not resist and see what happens. Okay, so it's got a really good recoil pattern already. We can tell I didn't fight it. I just shot like normal, and it did really well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to resist and see if we can make it even better. Let's get to it. That's really good, but it is a hand cannon nonetheless. It is a slower firing one, so it is something we would expect from this hand cannon. So let's change the sight real time here. We're going to change it to Crossfire for that range. Loss of stability and handling, so we're going to lose that. And let's see what happens now. So let's not resist it now. Okay, just as expected. We started getting more recoil, upward pattern. It's not really curving too much. It's still pretty good and solid, but we are getting some less grouping patterns going on. But that was to be expected. We lost some of that stability. Now let's see if we can maintain that stability by resisting the recoil pattern. Let's start now. So because it is a hand cannon, and that was pretty aggressive, I did have to fight it a little bit at first, and once it's stabilized, it was a lot easier to maintain. Now note that if you're on console, it is going to be a little bit different. I am on PC using a mouse, so note that for sure, but this is a good solid test nonetheless. We're going to move on to the next sight. We're going to move on to the hit mark. Now, if you look here, we're getting some of that stability and handling back, but we're losing that range. So let's try this out. So let's not resist first and see what happens. Honestly, it's almost identical to the Crossfire, but it does move to the left instead of the right, which I could have bumped the mouse. It could have been anything, but it's so close. Me personally, right now, by seeing that, I would use the Crossfire over the hit mark for that little bit of extra range. Now let's move on to resisting. Okay, nice. So I could see more there when I was starting resisting, that it was easier to catch at first. So note that. I would recommend you try them out and see which one works best for you. But me personally, I'm going to go for the maximum range. It is a hand cannon. You can time your shots. You're not going to be spamming it most of the times. So let's get on to PvP. We'll talk about it, and then we'll move on to PvE. So how do I feel about this hand cannon in PvP? Well, to be fair, does Rampage even really matter with this hand cannon? Not really, because the reload speed is so slow that even if you do get it to proc, and you do get a little bit of extra damage, you're going to have to reload at some point because the magazine size is only 8 bullets, and you're going to have to reload, and it's going to take so long that you're going to run out of Rampage. You're going to lose that fun factor that would make this gun amazing. Would I use it in PvP? Yes, but if I'm going to use a 110 RPM hand cannon, I'm going to use the Criminal's Dagger most likely, or the True Prophecy for PvP. I just prefer them better, and honestly, they've got a little bit better perks for PvP. If you like the slower RPM hand cannons, you may actually really enjoy this weapon for PvP. So I would recommend it. At least you try it, and if you don't like it, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Now let's move on to PvE. Okay, it's time for PvE. Now this weapon does good damage, it shoots really slow, it's got Rampage, which is nice, but the reload is just too terrible. And to be honest, I tried it in the Heroic Strikes and it was just driving me insane. I was getting absolutely destroyed and I just couldn't do enough damage. Even though it's a 110 and has Rampage, I just don't feel like the damage is there. It's just not for me. Yes, I could maximize and use some gauntlets if I was using my Warlock to make the reload speed better, and that would help a little bit. But honestly, I'm going to use the True Prophecy. That's just what I'm going to use. Or even the Steady Hand, because the Steady Hand has Outlaw. What do I prefer to use this weapon in? Honestly, I enjoyed it more in PvP, which is weird because it's got Rampage, which really doesn't have any effect in PvP. With this clip size and the fact that the reload is so slow, I just enjoyed it more in PvP. Now, if you're into this RPM weapon, you may want to try it, just like I said in PvP. You never know until you try something. So if you're rocking Dead Orbit, go ahead and get it. Try it out for yourself. You know, the stability's there. The handling isn't the worst. I mean, it's okay. That reload, if you can get around it, whether you maximize with your characters or whatever, that's fine. Rock it yourself. Tell me how you feel about it in the comments down below. And with that being said, guys, I hope you have a great afternoon, morning, day, or night, wherever you may be. As usual, Cursing Mushroom out.